right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Money Matters. This is episode 10. So, if you guys are watching, do drop a hello in the comments so that I know you guys are watching. So, yeah, this is Money Matters and it's hosted by Madhura. That is me. Today, we don't have any guest speakers, so this is going to be me and you guys. So, if you're there, do drop a hello. Money Matters is basically a live stream show where we discuss different topics to empower you guys and inspire you guys with regards to money matters. So, empowerment in the sense of sharing new techniques or people the way you can manage your finances so that you are empowered to start moving towards your financial goals. That is one, and also inspire in the sense that we get guest speakers to come on our show to share their personal experiences with regards to money. So there have been a lot of people who have made a lot of mistakes with regards to money, and by discussing those in our segments, we hope that we will create awareness and you will be able to learn from their mistakes and make much better decisions in life as well. So even those of you who are watching right now, feel free to share your opinions, your thoughts, your experiences in the comments so that everyone who's watching can learn from each other. So yeah, I think we have done many different kind of topics. This is episode 10. I can't believe I even managed to stick until this point, which is 10 episodes. We have done many different topics. I think we had Hira, who is a singer songwriter, talk about transitioning into adulthood. We had Valsla, who spoke about how she was an employee who was doing very well in the corporate world and eventually made a transition into becoming an entrepreneur. We also had Joyce, who spoke about how, as somebody who was bogged down by debts, how she started to work on her finances and eventually reached time and money freedom. We also had Vishnu, who explained how she built her savings habit pattern and how she maintains it and how she's able to now save more than 50% of her income. So we had many different topics, and today's topic is, of course, how do I track and review my finances? So if you guys have been watching any of our previous episodes, you'd already know this. I talk about this a lot. I talk about tracking and I talk about reviewing our finances a lot. I mention it pretty much in every episode. So I just thought it would be very interesting for us to break down and share with you guys how I do it. There is a lot of methods of doing these things. There's no such thing as a right way. But I just thought I would like to share my own personal journey so that if any of you can connect to it and this is something you would like to start doing, you'll be able to start taking the right steps as well. So I think the before we dive into how to track finances and all of that, I personally feel the most important question should be, why should you track your finances? Because a lot of people start because somebody else is doing it and they're like, okay, I should start tracking my finances, but they don't have a very strong why, so that it never really sticks. The habit pattern doesn't really develop and they will give up after once or twice facing some obstacles. So why should we actually track our finances, I feel, is one of the most important questions. So if you guys are watching, do comment in the chat box. I can actually see, I mean, I would love to know why you guys think, or whether you guys think tracking our finances is important, and if you do, why do you think so? So do you, is there a reason as to why we should be tracking our finances other than people telling it's the right thing to do? So maybe I can share a little bit about my personal experiences as well. Personally, for me, I have this belief that if I want to make any changes with regards to my money, I mean, in finances, how I manage it, and all of that, or if I want to make progress towards my goals, I need to know what I am doing right now, which is why I feel like tracking my finances is very important. So it's more like understanding my current position continuously, which is why we need to track it, and then look at how we can move forward and achieve that. So do share with me why you guys think tracking finances is important, why you guys come up with your own ideas and ask yourself the question as to why should we actually track our finances. And I really thought about it. If you're saying that, don't worry, I'm just going to give you guys some time to come up with it. But meanwhile, I got some of my friends to answer this question, to share their own perspectives and opinions on why they think tracking our finances is very important. So let's check out this short clip and I'll see you guys soon.
Question number one, why do I track my finance? To me, is I would like to know what is my habit pattern and what is my attitude towards expenditure and income.
So why I track my finances is because I think it's very important to track your finances. Before this, I didn't really track, so I don't know how much is my yearly revenue.
Hi guys, one reason why I start to track my finances is because I always thought I only spend money on necessary things, the bills that I need to pay, all my expenses. But the moment when I start to track where do I spend my money, then only I realize I'm spending money on a lot of unnecessary things. So that is the first reason why I start to track my finances.
Yep. So that was Caroline, Uma, and Steven sharing their personal experiences as to why they track their finances. I was when I asked them to share about their own opinions, I was actually kind of intrigued because everyone had a different answer. And it is very nice to see because like one of them shared about understanding their habit patterns, so by tracking they can see what exactly do they do. Another person just wants to, would like to know about their income, and it's not just managing finances is not just with your personal one. So if you're a person who runs your own business and all of that, it also involves your business as well. So then you would like to know whether your business is making income. How much revenue are you actually making? If I ask you how much money do you make in a year, are you able to give a figure without panicking? So that is another opinion. And then we had Steven who talked about he always assumes that this is where he spends his money, but by tracking he can figure out where actually he spends his money, which is so true for a lot of us. We assume we know what we are doing with regards to our money, but by tracking we are able to figure out what exactly are we doing in this area. So if you guys have already thought about why you think we should be tracking our finances, once again drop your comment. I'm not very sure if I can see. If StreamYard requests for permission to share your comment, if you guys are comfortable, feel free to do that as well, so I can display your comments on our live stream right now as well. So while you guys think about why, I think the other question is also how do we track our finances, and I think this is something that has evolved over the years. So I don't know how many of you had grandparents who did this thing where they'll have this buku tiga lima and they'll write down what they earn or what they owe people or what people owe them, and they have all these things written down in this very little small little book that they'll carry around with them wherever they go. So I think that was the way to track finances back then, probably grandparents' age. And then of course my parents' era, things changed a bit. There was computers available, so they started putting in tracking finances in terms of Excel, or I don't think Google Sheet was a thing back then. Excel mainly, so they'll put in those figures. And I know my mom had this very cool looking spreadsheet on her Excel. Yes, Waiti mentioned that her mom has this Buku Tiga Lima book. It's so iconic. Every family has had a member of their family who used to have it. And then the whole Excel and Microsoft Word or anything like that, people used to track there as well. But of course, technology has come much further than Excel. And now there are many different mobile apps where we can actually start tracking our finances as well. And I am one of those people who uses mobile apps because, to be honest, to open my Excel file, I need to go to my laptop, which is not around me all the time, but my mobile phone is with me literally all the time. So by tracking my finances on a mobile app, it's much more easier for me to do it, which is why I personally choose to stick to a mobile app. But you can choose which. I know also some people even at this age who still prefer to use that small notebook. So you can always choose which is your preferred method, which works for you, and then go ahead with that. So in terms of mobile apps, I personally have used a lot. I have been experimenting with this for a long time. And so I'm just going to share some of the apps that I personally have used, which is currently I use One Money. I love this app. It looks very nice and attractive, so it keeps me engaged most of the time. And by subscribing to it by paying a certain more amount of money, you can actually get access to having more accounts there. So that's what I do. Not necessary to do for a beginner. So for beginners, if you're somebody who's like, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about, Madhura, where do I go? One of the place I started as a beginner was Checkbook, but recently I also found out this thing called Money Manager, where most of my clients are starting off with. Both of these apps are very simple, very direct. They don't have too many complicated functions, so it's very easy for a beginner to use those two apps to get started. There's also May. So if you're a Maybank user, May is amazing. Not only can you track your expenses and all of that in terms of Maybank, but also you can add in like your cash in expenses. You just have to key in those additional transactions. So you can keep it in one place rather than trying to source out from many different places. And recently, one of my clients also found out this new another app called Wallet, which is a bit more complex. There's a lot more categories and a lot of complicated reports. So if you're somebody who likes to look at these kind of things, you can go for that kind of stuff. I mean, that as well. Or if you're starting off, once again, Money Manager, Checkbook, very, very direct, very easy to work on. So those are the apps. I personally use One Money and Checkbook. That is my favorites. But regardless of what application it is the same same functions in most of it. So if you can understand these basic functions, you can use any of these apps. Doesn't matter which app you're downloading, because there's thousands, if not millions, thousands of apps inside Google Play Store, and I'm sure Apple Store as well. So you can download whichever one you want, but you need to just know the basic elements. So the elements that you need to know about is, first of all, accounts. So this is where you have different things like your cash in hand. Like this is just a mock account I created. So there's cash in hand. They have some money in Maybank. They have some money in CIMB. They have some money in their money market, some in FD, and they also have a car loan. So this is the place where you put in your different accounts wherever you have some money. Just put it as an account into the app, so that you know overall how much do you have and what are the ones you use more often and all of that. Also, people you owe money to. So if you owe your parents a certain amount of money, or you owe your friend 10 ringgit because they paid for your lunch, those go under that loans part as well. So if I owe somebody, I also track that as an account as well. And of course, your car loans, house loans, personal loans, credit card loans, all of those things can also be included under the accounts. So this is a very basic thing. That is where you start. You need to see what are the accounts you have and list them down into the app. After you're done with that, it's just from today, after you've put down all the accounts and what are the balances, moving forward, you just have to key in your income, expense, and transfers. So what I mean by that is the 3 types of transactions that literally any mobile app you use will have this. And this is what I use as well. So in terms of income, you have to record where you're receiving, what is the income you're receiving, where you're receiving it into, that's it, and the date. In terms of expense, the date of the expense, account as in which account are you spending that money from. So if you're paying for this expense with your cash, you choose cash. If it's from your bank, you choose the bank account. And then category is what are you paying for and all of that. Transfers is if you're moving money from one account to another. So it's usually not really reducing or increasing your money. It is just moving around within your accounts. So you can see even in the way people design these applications, it's very interesting in the sense that an income is blue in color to show something, nice, increasing, very nice feeling. The expenses is red in color as in the money is going out. And then transfer is gray to show the neutral effect of it, as in it's just money moving around, no difference. So these are the 3 transactions you need to know. So as long as you know which one to put it under, you're okay. You just have to continuously key in those things. And then there's the categories aspect as well, which is what are the breakdown of income and expenses you have. So for some people, expenses can be, for example, in this picture here, there's food, there's gifts, there's education, there's insurance, there's household, transport, all kinds of stuff. A lot of people have different categories. So if you're watching, you can actually comment what you guys think are the categories that may apply in your life, so that usually we do this in one of the workshops that I conduct, and we ask people to share the different categories they have in terms of their income and expenses. And you don't realize how many types of expenses you have until everyone starts listing it down, and then you go like, oh my god, I have that too. Oh my god, I have that too. And then you realize you have a lot of expenses. So that is categories. Even in income, your income is not just your salary. Some of you may receive, like ang pao for Deepavali or Christmas or Chinese New Year and all of that. So that could be a thing. Some of you may have investments, so you're earning some dividends there. So all of these things is also income. So that is categories. And of course, the last thing you need to know, which is I feel the most important thing, is this thing called statistics. Most apps have this. They are called differently in every app. Some call it reports, some call it statistics. It's different in every app, but it's the same function, which is they show you the breakdown of your income, your expenses. Sometimes it's weekly, monthly, yearly. Sometimes they have the customizing ability, so you can choose which way you want to see it as well. So these 4 elements exist in all the mobile apps that you will download. It exists in all of it. So just learn how, if you know what each of these is and you understand them, you'll be able to use any mobile app. And this is what tracking is. Basically, everything that happens with regards to your money, you note it down into this app or your book or your Excel sheet, depending on what you use. And you just key in whatever that is happening. And eventually, that is basically you tracking your expenses. So for me, I feel like I should share in terms of my tips and tricks with regards to using these apps and also tracking my finances, right? So there's a few tips that I personally have. I am somebody who has horrible memory. Okay, not horrible, like I will forget today, but like it's not that great. So if I spend something today, there's no guarantee I'll remember it 1 week from now. But there's a high chance I'll remember it for at least 2 or 3 days maximum. So what I do is I make sure that I do the keying in the app at least 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days once. But I also know people who are very good at their memory and they can remember no matter how long, and they will do it once a week. I also know people who have worse off memory than me, so they do it every day. As it happens, they are keying in these transactions as well. So choose which one fits your style and then go with it. And then there's also another very important tip that I share with anybody who starts with this tracking, because tracking is a stressful thing for newbies, for somebody who's new, because we want to be good and score straight A's and make sure we get it right in the first attempt. But the truth is, even somebody who has been applying it or doing it for the past 5 years, 6 years like me, will still make mistakes with regards to forgetting to key in and all of that. So one account that I have is called unknown, as in one of the categories that I will create under expenses and income is something called unknown. So if I'm unable to remember where my money went, or I lost my 20 ringgit or anything like that, I will just chuck it into this account called unknown. So as a beginner, you will probably start off like 200 ringgit in unknown because you just keep forgetting to key in and you can't recall what it is. But as you progress and you make it into a habit, you will see that the amount that you have in unknown drops. So I used to have like a couple of hundred in my unknown category when I first started off, but now it's like maximum 20 ringgit, which is improvement. And that is what this account is all about. So don't punish yourself if you forgot to key in or things like that. Take it easy. Have this account so it helps you to still balance everything and make sure it's okay. So that's my second tip. And the third tip is cash, right? The biggest problem with regards to tracking is tracking your cash in hand expenses, because bank, there's a proof. You have to log into your online banking, you can find out what you spent it on. But cash, if you don't collect receipts, there's literally no proof what you spent it on. So what I suggest people to do is key in on the spot, especially if it's cash, or try to go cashless, like eliminate the problem. In the sense that I personally use touch and go e-wallet more often, or I use my card to make those transactions, because I know most of the time I'll forget if it's my cash in hand. So I choose to do that. You can also see how you can manage this thing as well. So one of the comments I got is better not rely on memory, key in as it happens. Very true. but I will usually forget to key in. My memory is horrible when it comes to keying in itself. So I do it 2 to 3 days once. Choose what works for you and go ahead with it. And then the other thing I do is fixing a timing to do this. So personally for me, I do the whole tracking thing usually at night before I go to bed, because I'm like, okay, the day is done, completed. Now I recall back what happened in my day and I just note it down. So it's easier for me. So by allocating some time in your day or week or month to do this tracking, it will help you to ensure you keep up the habit. But if let's say you just do it like, oh, I'll do it when I'm free, you'll probably never do it. So fix a time to do it. It usually helps to make it happen. And my last tip is this. So whenever you get started with regards to your mobile apps, there's this thing called categories where you have different expenses. Most of the people will just look at that and get scared with the number of words or different categories there are. So I'm the kind of person who says delete all categories, and as you incur those expenses, you create those categories. So it's very customized for you, and you don't have some random categories like apparel, which I don't even use the word often, but some of these apps have it. So if you don't even use the word, just get rid of it, move on, and create categories that suits your lifestyle. That helps you to be able to keep up this habit in a way. All right. So if you guys have any questions about tracking, it's very simple. It's so direct. Have an app or an Excel sheet or a book. Put down everything that you are spending in and out, and that is basically you tracking your expenses and income. So if you guys have any questions for this part, do ask me and we can address that as together. And if you have other methods of tracking, please do share that as well, because this is the things I personally have encountered, but I know there are a lot of people who do things very differently from me. So if you are somebody who has a different way of tracking as well, share that in the comments as well so we can learn from each other. So personally, the people I have encountered or worked with, they are the ones who want to build this habit of tracking their finances, but they find it hard to get started, or it's a habit that is hard to be built, and they've been struggling for a long time. Even if trying on their own, they have been struggling to keep up the habit. So these are the kind of people I work with in my personal finance management for millennials. So it's basically a monthly program that I'll do for about a year, where we guide individuals to basically build habit patterns when it comes to money. So if you are a youngster and you want some amount of guidance with regards to setting up a very nice foundation with regards to your money habit patterns, then please do contact me and we can work together with regards to your personal finance as well. So I think before we move on to the next part, which is reviewing our finances, I have a short clip that I would like to play, which I got from the CEO and founder of Simply Empowering, on her opinion on what are the mistakes people make with regards to personal finance. So let's check out this short clip and I'll see you guys after this.
Mistake number 1, tracking without a purpose. You have been tracking, but do you know where is it different from your budget? How is it different and why is it different? Because without knowing all this, you wouldn't know what to do next. Mistake number 2, finding excuses instead of finding solutions. When you didn't hit your savings target, are you going to say that, oh, I can't achieve my target because of this reason, that reason? Or are you going to look for solutions, how you can improve on spending wisely or even increasing your income? So find solutions and not excuses.
All right, so that was Joyce very quickly sharing about some of the mistakes people make with regards to their finances. The first one being tracking without a reason. So I share about tracking and why is it so important, but the truth is very true. A lot of the biggest mistake people make is they track, but there's no reason for them to track, which is why, as I mentioned, the why is very, very important. So in terms of, that is why the why is very important, and finding excuses rather than solutions. I have met a lot of people who have told me, oh, tracking is hard, I always forget, there's so much of it's so complicated, blah blah blah, there's so many problems in this area. And then there's also the group of people who be like, I don't have enough money, the etc., the same old excuses, right? But we need to come up with solutions to solve these problems, not forever just swim around these problems and suffer. So to do this, I feel yes, step one you need to track, but the step two is why reviewing is very very important to address these two problems. Only if you review, you can come up with newer solutions. Only if you review, there's a reason for you to track. There's a reason. There's an outcome after your tracking, and things like budget and all comes into this reviewing process as well. So just like earlier, I asked once again three of my friends as to why they review their expenses. I personally review just to know how am I doing and whether I'm progressing. But there's different reasons people review as well. So let's check out this video now on why my friends review their finances rather than just tracking. So let's share this video.
Question number 3. Why is it important to not just track but also to review my finance? To me, it comes back to habit pattern, knowing my attitude towards finance. For the longest time, I do not have the habit to track or review it back.
Oh my God.
Whatever I earn is whatever I spend.
I think the video is not working. So let me attempt the sharing again. Please give me a minute. Share. If you guys are able to see the video, please do comment so that I know you guys are okay.
Question number 3. Why is it important
Oh no.
to not just track but also to review my finance? To me, it comes back to habit pattern, knowing my attitude.
I think you guys can't see the video. This is so sad. I'm so sorry. But I can do a recap of the video. I can't figure out how to do the sharing thing. So I'm just going to recap this video for you guys so that you can see what are the lessons that Caroline, again, once again, the same old people, Caroline, Steven, and Uma have with regards to reviewing their finances, right? So one of the reasons Caroline personally reviews her finances is the peace of mind. In the sense that a lot of us will create this problem like, I don't have enough money, and or I have too much money. There's all kinds of problems that is floating around in our head, and we tend to focus on these problems rather than our goals and actually making progress towards whatever we are working on. So when we review our finances and we can know clear cut whether we are doing okay or whether we're not doing okay, you see the truth as it is, and you're able to see that, then there is less worries in your mind. You just know what is the next step to take and you go forward with it. So having the peace of mind and not worrying about things is one of the main reasons people review their finances as well. And we have Uma, who is a business owner, right? So for business owners, you would want to make sure that your business is growing and have you don't have like a very stagnant income or reducing income on a monthly basis. So you want to know that you're making progress. So by reviewing your finances, you know whether you're on the right track or not. Or are you slacking? Do you need to focus more on your marketing? These kind of things can be found out by just doing your review on a much better. I mean, by doing your review, you can solve these kind of problems. And then we have Steven, who shared about if you don't review your finances, you just don't know what is happening. Even though you're keying in your app, it actually doesn't. Other than just putting the figures in, you actually still don't know what is happening with regards to your finances. So, and if you don't know what's happening, you cannot identify where to improve, and therefore nothing's going to happen. No changes, no improvement takes place. So that is why these three people do it. Similar reasons for me as well. You want to know whether you're making progress, and if you guys have other reasons you review your finances, please do share as well, because my reasons may not be your reasons. So if you have other reasons you review your finances, do drop it in the comments so we can learn from each other's experiences as well. So I'm gonna share with you guys how I personally review my finances. So we have the mobile app which where we put in all these figures, and at the end of the month you have the statistics page which will show you what is your income and what is your expenses, which is great. But I think most of the time you can only review if you compare this to how you did last month or how you did last year. Only when you do these kind of things will you know whether you're on track or not, or how far away am I from my goals. So which is why review is so important, right? So I'm going to share with you guys my a demo Google sheet of sorts, which is a mock-up of what I use basically to review my own finances. So very quickly, this is a place where I track what is my financial position. So I personally want to know uh, how much cash I have, how much I have in my bank accounts, what are the savings I have, what are the investments I have, and also what are the loans that I have. So this is a very simple table where I put down these figures to know whether I am making progress in terms of these areas or whatnot. So the first step is to just know what is my position, which you can usually see in the accounts page of your your app. The second thing is something called net worth. So usually if you take whatever you own and what minus off all the things you owe people, you have something called net worth. What are you worth in a way? So if as a person, I feel most of us don't want to be in negative net worth, but that is what most of us are at. I know a lot of people who, especially like youngsters like me, who just start working, we already have a student loan, so or a car loan, and we barely have any savings. So if you're if you're somebody like that, your net worth is probably negative, and that is where most people start off. But the idea is to not forever remain in a negative net worth, reduce that, and then slowly bring it to a positive figure and increase your savings and all that, increase your net worth in a way. So one of the things I personally do is to see last month what was my net worth, let's say end of April what was my net worth, and compare it to end of March net worth. So when I compare month to month, I must make some amount of progress in terms of my net worth. So that is one of the things that I do as well, to just ensure that I am making progress, because we may earn more by doing so many different things, working very hard, doing extra time, all those things we may do that. But if we don't settle our debts or put it into savings, technically we just, whatever money we make, we're just sending it back out. So which is okay, but some form still needs to go into savings and all of that. So that is why I personally do the net worth tracking. So if you guys have any questions about these two things, just comment. I have no idea why I can't share my screen, so I'm unable to show you guys the spreadsheet. Next time I shall take this into account. The other thing I track is, let's say I'm saving towards a goal. For me personally, now I'm trying to save emergency funds, because last year taught me nothing is certain and you never know what's going to happen. Your job may be the most secure job in the world, but because of a pandemic, you may have no job. So if that is something that could possibly happen to you, it is good to have something called emergency savings. So right now, I am personally working hard towards building up my emergency savings. So every month, I actually check my progress, whether I am coming closer to my target emergency savings or not, or am I remaining in the same stagnant spot without saving anything. So that is another thing I do personally in terms of reviewing my finances. And usually checking my progress towards my goals, I only do it once a month. I don't really do it too regularly. Once a month is good enough already. The next thing is to put down whatever you see in the statistics page in your app, income and expenses, take that and put it into the Excel sheet as well. So if you are a business person or if you're an accountant, you know this thing called profit or loss. So you can put those figures in and see whether you are making a profit or a loss as a human being in that year in terms of your money. So why I will do this in a year period. So if let's say this right now, my spreadsheet will have January to April. Why I do it for the year is I do not want to be making a loss, as in spending more than what I earn. And two, I don't want to be taking money that I earned last year and saved last year to spend it this year instead. Like if I saved it, it should remain in my savings. So that is one of the reasons I check this, to ensure that I am not spending more than what I earn, which is probably the most important golden rule with regards to personal finance. Never spend more than what you earn. So that is the next thing I check. And then the other thing I personally do, and because my this is for people who have slightly irregular income, in the sense that if you have some income that will come in a lump sum at a certain points in the year, let's say people who earn commissions or people who do workshops and trainings, they earn lump sum at one point. This is something that applies to you. So if you have expenses that happens at random points in the year, like for me, my road tax renews at the year end, and then there's medical checkup another month. There's a lot of random, these big expenses that happen at many different points in the year. So I want to ensure that I have enough money to kind of like cover all these expenses. Because right now, no big expenses, life is good. I may choose to spend this money. But what I don't realize is 2 months from now, I have like my car service, which is coming up, which is 1,000 ringgit or something like that. And I don't have enough money at that point in time. So by planning my cash flow, I can ensure that I can take care of all of these expenses without any stress and without dipping into my emergency savings. Just by planning and being a bit ahead, you can avoid these kind of problems. So that's one of the things I do. And then I also do, so the income and expenses and the cash flow planning, in a way, I do it on a weekly basis. And while I do that, I will do my transfers. So let's say if I owe people money, I know a lot of people who will, let's say they owe people money, or they borrow money from somebody and they need to pay back, or somebody else needs to pay you back. These kind of things happen with us all the time, but we will forget to follow up on these things. So what I personally do is I fix a time on a weekly basis to do these transactions. So if I need to pay rental in the first week of the month, when I have my personal finance reviewing session, I will make those payments. If I owe somebody money for food they bought me or something, I'll make those payments during that timing. So I'm always up to date with regards to my money. But if doing it weekly scares you or feels like a lot of work, then start with monthly. It's okay to start with monthly first. I know a lot of people find my weekly approach a bit too much in a way. So if you find it too much, then you can do it weekly. But I feel at least once a month is a needed frequency to review your finances. So those are the things that I personally review. Net worth, what is my current position in terms of what I have, what is my progress towards the different goals, like if I'm saving up for traveling to another country, am I making progress? And then looking at income and expenses, am I spending more than what I'm earning? If yes, quickly fix it. If not, good. Budget. So some of you will have already set up a budget. I also check this on a weekly basis by comparing what I've actually spent, like let's say 2 weeks into the month, and my budget. Am I still on track, or have I already overspent in the first 2 weeks itself? I also do this on a weekly basis. And then cash flow planning, and then of course last is just making all these payments whenever I need to. So this is what I do in my review sessions, and this is what I do with most of my clients as well. But if you're somebody who needs that, bit of hand-holding to kind of like get started with regards to this review or making your own spreadsheet and all of that, one of the things that I and Joy Slim from Simply Empowering do is we do this workshop for personal finance. So the workshop it has a very weird name, which is called Just Starting Out in Life but Already in Debt, which is a virtual personal finance workshop. And we are having our next one on the 6th of June, 2021 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So we will actually help you guys to start putting these figures in and get started. So it's no longer just a conversation which we're having right now. You will actually start making those moves in this workshop. So if this is something you feel you need to get started, come and join us. DM me on our page, and I will get in touch with you guys and share with you guys, and you can join us for this workshop. So I think this is basically what I wanted to share with you guys in this episode. How I track, which is how I use my mobile apps, and how I review, what are the things I review in these apps. I mean, after I do the tracking. And by doing these two, most of the time I'm able to ensure that I'm on track. So of course, after this would be how do we solve the problems that we notice. I think that can be another episode on money matters. And so we'll come back next week to discuss more new topics with you guys. We have 2 upcoming topics which we will be discussing on Money Matters. So one of it is going to be about investments. So mistakes people make with regards to investments. I know a lot of you who are watching, who are Gen Ys especially, or Gen Zs, you love learning about investments. And you want to know more about it. I feel like the session we're going to have is going to be very good, because this person will be sharing the mistakes they made with regards to their investments and how they overcome it. So it is a very important session for us to learn from. So if you guys are interested, do RSVP and join. And then we'll have another episode on, as a business owner, how this person made sure his business sustained through highs and lows. So that is also going to be another topic. So if you have other topic suggestions as well, do go to my Instagram, The Real Madhura, and let me know what you guys want to hear so that I can make it happen in this Money Matters show. And while you're here, also follow Simply Empowering on our social media. We will truly appreciate it, especially if you enjoyed today's episode. If you can leave a review for us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Simply Empowering. We would truly appreciate it. It will also be awesome if you guys can share this episode with your friends and family, so that we can reach out to people who need this. Do like our Facebook page, our YouTube, and all of that, so that you can continuously get this content. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun today. As a person, I think this is like my second episode doing alone, so I was quite nervous, but you guys made it amazing. So thank you so much. I hope to see you guys in the next Money Matters. Madhura signing off. Take care, guys.